Alrighty, so we have the main event in my eyes. We have Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo 2, the rematch. Alright, so Brandon Moreno, he does have a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. In the striking department, both these guys very good strikers. Brandon Moreno, more of a fundamental boxer, has very fast hands when he does let off combinations. Nice lead hand work, nice snapping jab, nice lead left hook, nice check left hook when opponent does close the distance. He was landing that a few times on Figgy in the first fight. But yeah, a lot of the time he is looping a lot of his shots. He does have very nice straight punches, but a lot of the time he is throwing looping shots. Like a looping 3 to an overhand right, when the opponent closes distance, and it's going to catch guys. But with guys like Deiveson and Figueiredo who have incredible head movement, they're going to see the punches coming. There's a lot of wind up on them. They come from, far out, so it's easier to block them, especially with the type of head movement and the type of striking defense that Deiveson and Figueiredo likes to use. On the other side, Deiveson and Figueiredo, he's constantly giving you different looks. He's giving you different angles that he's hitting you with. He's changing his levels constantly. He's constantly pressing forward. He's got huge power for the weight class. He's just a tank. He's a little tank. And when he has two modes. When he's the aggressor and then when he's looking to counterpunch off the back foot. When he's the aggressor, he's got that lead hand, kind of extended at times to gauge range and also put off the opponent from closing distance. He has that stiff jab with the outstretched hand. Best example of this tendency would be the Pantoja fight. And he's just looking to punish you every time he hits you, basically. Puts a lot behind his lead left rip to the body, lead left hook, straight elbows at distance, lead elbows at distance, up elbows. He's just constantly looking to do damage. And Brandon Moreno in the first fight, early on, he was backing up in a straight line. And that's where Figueiredo was just catching him, pushing him to the fence. Every time they got in real close quarters, Figueiredo was just teeing off on him. And when Figueiredo's countering, he's waiting for the opponent to close distance, and then he fires a straight left, straight right, depends what stance he's in. Also has a nice check left hook. I believe he's very good at striking on either the front foot or the back foot. Also, he has nice low calf kicks. He went to them early in the first fight between these guys, but seemed to go away with them. I think that could be a good weapon here. Brandon Moreno is very heavy on that lead leg. He's basically leaning over onto that lean leg. Like, if you look at his stance, he's practically leaning over himself. Like, if you take out that lead leg, takes away the jab of Moreno, that's a lot of his offense. That's where he sets up a lot of his stuff with his lead hand. A few things Figgy does on the feet that can get him in trouble is that, he just flat out refuses to put his hands up, even if he's rocked. I think Moreno hurt him in the fourth round. Obviously rocked, obviously a little bit wobbled. He just refuses to put his hands up. And also, he is liable to overextend on his power punches. I mean, he puts so much torque into him and he puts so much elastic behind it. He is going to overextend on his punches at times. And he can telegraph his punches when he's not counter-punching. And that's how Formiga caught him so many times. He made Fig become the aggressor. And then, Formiga just pretty much level changed every time Figueiredo was going to lead with the lead left hook, and he loads up on that left hook. So I think Brandon Moreno, he probably should go for a more grappling heavy game plan in this one. He does have nice takedowns. He has a nice body lock. When the opponent closes distance, he'll look for the outside leg trip from there. Most of his takedowns are coming from the body lock entry. Also has a decent double leg. Goes for the outside leg trip from there. I believe he hit a few of those on Deiveson in the first fight. But yeah, he probably should go to his wrestling in this one, in my opinion, just to mix it up a lot. He doesn't have the best top control. Like, he will stand up in the opponent's guard and throw straight punches. And that's good against a guy who's just going to sit there and take it. But, Figueiredo is very active off bottom. He has nice frame off elbows on bottom, constantly looking for submissions, constantly looking to lock up an arm and, go for submissions from there. He's very explosive off his back. He can be a little too comfortable off his back. Although he is very active, judges aren't rating that very highly. And, you're not going to win many fights off your back, but he does do a lot of damage on bottom, and he does submissions as well. And Figgy, he's not the easiest guy to take down. He's got very good balance when he's defending takedowns. He's got that guillotine when the opponent shoots. He's got a very tight guillotine, puts a lot of squeeze behind it. And his initial scramble is very good. And then, if you control him after that initial scramble, it gets easier and easier, as we saw with the Formiga fight. You have to be an elite top player to control him on the ground. Like, he's got very good scrambles. And the only guy to do it so far is Formiga. Jared Brooks, to a lesser extent, wasn't really able to hold him down, kind of just a volume takedown approach. But yeah, he'll also do the same thing. He'll also, stand up the opponent's guard and rain down bombs, give the power advantage to Figueiredo's ground and pound, but they both have, decent ground and pound, but not the best top control. How these guys win fights, so for Figueiredo, he's vicious, he's ferocious, he's a savage in there. And he's got great upper body movement, great head movement to avoid strikes, incredible reflexes, granite chin as well when he does get hit, just refuses to put the hands up, but he just cops all the punishment that the opponent's gonna give him, and he just keeps coming forward. And he's got very good scrambles as well. Both these guys have good scrambles. How Brandon Moreno wins fights, he's very well-rounded, and he's got quite a chin on him as well. He ate some hellish shots from a power puncher, the biggest power puncher in the division, in Figueiredo, and he barely even reacted. Like, he's got a great chin. He's very tough, showed a lot of courage in the first fight. A lot of these guys would have just crumpled or, stopped coming forward after the bombs that Figgy was hitting him with. And he's just super tough to finish in general. He's never been finished in 25 fights, so, that kind of tells you everything. How these guys lose fights, so for Figueiredo, it's the striking tendencies, we've already discussed it. Path to victory for these two. Alright, so for Deiveson Figueiredo, low calf kick, we talked about that before. Let Moreno lead a little bit, and then look for the counter 2, as he is going to overextend on his combinations, which he does do a lot on the front foot. But if you make him lead, he's going to overextend. But if you just trade with him in the pocket, you're not really going to be able to exploit those overextensions by Moreno. Also, just watch that high kick at the end of the combination. He does love that switch high kick to end a combination, so just watch out for that, because it is very sneaky and he does get it up very quickly. And for Moreno, I think more of a grappling heavy game plan. I think the bodylock takedowns, every time, Deiveson Figueiredo gets in the pocket, you don't want to be in the pocket with this guy. And look to take the back if he does overextend on a strike. Look to change levels and then turn the corner from there. And for Deiveson Figueiredo, look to underhook quickly. I mean, a lot of the time he's looking for those bodylock takedowns, so if you get those underhooks, you nullify it, you pull him up, most of the time he's going to be looking for that bodylock takedown. And I mean, you have your hands low already, so just put in the underhooks. And mix in takedowns of your own for Deiveson Figueiredo. Get on top, do some damage, win some rounds, and get a takedown at the end of the round in a close round to, just put a stamp on it. And for Brandon Moreno on the feet, look to throw combinations, because in the first fight, you were just popping out the jab. You weren't following it with anything at distance. And the way Figueiredo defends strikes, you're not going to connect with him on the jab very often. You're going to connect with the 3rd, 4th, 5th shots. Like, he's using very good head movement, but we've seen just even recently with Dusko Todorovic, even guys with very good head movement, they're going to get caught by the 2nd and 3rd punch, because you get the read of where their head's going. And then you can, switch it up, going heavy on the left side. If he leans heavy to, what's the side that he throws the high kick on? It's the left high kick, so it'd be on Figgy's right side. So yeah, if Figgy's leaning hard to his right after you throw, say, a right hook, then switch up the switch high kick right immediately after the right hook, you're going to catch him, because he's going to be leaning that way, because that's naturally where he's going to slip to. When he tries to lean out of the way of all these punches. Also, just work the body as well. The guy's got a granite chin, so just look to work the body. How I see the fight going? So yeah, this is the main event for sure. Like, their first fight, probably one of my favorite fights of all time. Very good fight, constant action. Both guys had their moments. In my opinion, though, it was a pretty clear win for Figueiredo. I believe Moreno's performance is being overrated a little bit. Figueiredo was in control of the fight, of the pace of the fight, the direction of the fight, for a large majority of the fight. Bar a few moments in round 4, I think he was in control of basically every moment. And I remember the commentary being very biased and just creaming their pants over any shot that Moreno landed. Like, the judges are in the apex. They can hear you. And Rogan and DC, they are very loud. And yeah, they just got to pipe down a little bit, because they were just going crazy over any shot Moreno was landing. And Figueiredo was landing some huge shots. And I honestly, Figueiredo was rolling with a lot of the punches that Moreno was throwing. He's got very good head movement, and a lot of the ohs by Joe Rogan, they weren't connecting. And I get it. They have to gas up the underdog. They have to, try and make the fight compelling. But in reality, the fight wasn't really close. Like, it was 4-1 for Figueiredo. He won the first 3 rounds. He was beating Moreno the fuck up in the first 3 rounds. And then he took the 5th round. Like, one judge gave Moreno the 5th, which is crazy. Not sure what he was watching. Yeah, that guy needs to go. Also, I believe Moreno fought the fight of his life on that night. No doubt, it was a very courageous performance by Moreno. Really inspiring, very inspiring performance. But you got to be careful when scoring the fight that you don't get sucked into the narrative or, giving away sympathy rounds just because he's showing a lot of heart. Deiveson Figueiredo was in complete control of that fight. By a few moments, he was doing a lot of damage, much more damage than Moreno. The fight wasn't really close, man. Like, in reality. And I feel like a lot of people were doing that on that night. They were gassing up Moreno's performance. He got beat the fuck up. He had his moments, but he got beat up bad. And I feel like, I do believe Figueiredo when he says, he had troubles the night before sleeping. He was sick. He was, he had back-to-back weight cuts. He's a big guy for the weight class. He had back-to-back weight cuts in a month. I don't think that's going to be good for a guy of his size at this division. And yeah, as I said before, I think it was Moreno's best night. And it looked like Figueiredo's worst night. And Figueiredo still beat him convincingly. So, and also that point deduction, Herzog he's the best ref out there at the moment for sure. But that call was crazy. In a title fight, to take a point there was insane. On the first low blow of the fight, that was really surprising. And, I felt like I felt like the whole world was against Figueiredo that night, and he just beat Moreno up, like straight up. The fight wasn't close. I think everyone's gassing up Moreno's performance, but it just wasn't close, man. And I can't see what he does differently to win the fight. I see in this fight, I see Fig just putting it on him from the get go. I think he's shown he can keep his style up for 25 minutes. Every time he got in the pocket, he was just hitting him with hard shots. Moreno had no answer. He was just getting beat up in the pocket. Low kicks this time as well. I think he uses a bit more wrestling, maybe. Gets Moreno down, ground and pound. The guy's a very good fighter. And Moreno is good, but he's that kind of guy that's not gonna... He's gonna get in a close fight, always. He's always gonna show up with a great performance and a great... He's always gonna be a great dance partner. But you'll rarely ever see the guy dominate somebody. And you'll rarely ever see the guy put a performance in that's worthy of taking the belt from the champion. And I feel like that was the best performance of Brandon Moreno that we're going to see. And now Deiveson Figueiredo's got the read. I think he's going to beat him up for 25 minutes. But I don't think it's going to last that long this time. I do think it's going to be either accumulated damage, like a standing TKO, maybe a doctor stoppage because of cuts from elbows. But Brandon Moreno is a very tough motherfucker. I've got to give that to him. But I do have the champ to win in a dominant performance. Okay, so the prediction is Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he gets a TKO in either round 3 or 4. I'm going to say 4 if I'm going to make a prediction. And he bets. None of these props I'm really liking. No, none of those props. If Deiveson Figueiredo gets to $1.45, I'll have a bet of him for sure. And if he keeps going, I'll keep betting him. But at this price, I'll probably even parlay him if he just stays at this price. But I'm pretty confident that the champ does win this fight. And, and still.